Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye has friends. No, really, Jeff has friends. Jeff's friends are on this podcast. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship.
Friendship.
Welcome back to Jeff Dye's Friendship Podcast. Big shout out to all the Patreon subscribers, all the people that have been commenting. A lot of comments from Leah Lamar last week. Screwed that up. I'll start over. Forgot. I don't know. Welcome back to Jeff Dye's Friendship Podcast, the #1 friendship podcast in the world. Me and Tony are happy to have you back. This is episode 94, which is great because if you listen to the older episodes, when we did episode 5 or something, I'd be like, hey, shout out to Jeff Bagwell. And if I did episode 12, I was like, oh, shout out to the 12th man. I was always trying to link a number for the episode to pro athletes because we know a lot of the numbers. But then when it got to a certain point, we just stopped doing that because you can't find a 74 that's a relevant football player in our hearts or a baseball player or basketball player. But this week, coincidentally, episode 94, there is a football player who wore 94 for the Dolphins, the Raiders, and the Chargers. His name is AKBAR GBAJABIAMILA. He's the host of A Ninja Warrior, and he was number 94. So this episode's a shout out to him. And he's our guest. He's one of the greatest dudes I've met in the last 10 years. Super, super nice. Just a good head on him, you know? He's a very ethical and well-adjusted, nice, sweet, good-looking dude. He's fit. He seems kind of like the frustratingly perfect person. He's a great guy. We're super excited to have him on this episode. You guys are going to get to know him. You're going to get to love him. He talks about trials and tribulations and boundaries and safe places. This is a fun episode. I want to give you a big shout out before we do this. Big shout out to all of the Patreon subscribers. A lot of new subs, a lot of great comments and feedback from the San Diego Chicken episode. Big thank you to Ted Giannoulis coming in here and wearing that costume the whole time. Love that we had him on here. Shout out to Randy Valerio for just giving us the idea of having a mascot on. Shout out to Ted for being on it. And shout out to Tony Reavis and Justin Silvera, my manager, for doing all the logistics to make that become a reality for me. I felt like it was like my dream episode. If you guys haven't watched that yet, subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/JeffDye, where you can watch all the episodes of the podcast. You can also get free tickets to all my stand-up comedy shows in person. You get little treats. You can message back and forth with me, and we're going to be going live real soon once we get 100 subs. Enjoy the episode with AKBAR. Admiral AKBAR GBAJABIAMILA. Boom, and we're in. Dude, I'm so happy to have you. I've been trying to get you on this podcast for a little while. It makes me very happy.
Yeah, man, we finally made it happen, man.
I know.
Yeah.
They already know who you are. We did the whole introduction and everything like that. I said some nice words about you, and then we're already in.
Was it nice?
It was nice.
I didn't get a chance to hear it.
Well, it's a friendship podcast. I don't bring anybody on here. That's actually my favorite part of this
really?
of this podcast is there's no one that's sat in that chair that I don't want here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who?
He had Donald Trump here?
Retroactively.
You could say it and then we'll bleep it or something, but who? Give me a
Just
hint.
like the porn lady.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
But even she was sweet at the time.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
retroactively.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's like, you know, people will put just says, hey, this guy wants to promote this show, and I say, no thanks. Like,
Yeah.
I like people that I'm friends with, or people that I want to be friends with, or people that I admire. So we're happy to have you.
I appreciate it, man.
AKBAR GBAJABIAMILA.
You were
No,
doing good. You were gonna get your Nigerian cred. I mean, real
Oh
quick.
yeah,
Come on.
Yeah, so
There's something
Baja?
before. Yeah. I got it.
GBAJABIAMILA.
Ooh.
Bulu.
Giamila. Giamila.
No, come on, you got the Baja.
Yeah, Baja Giamila.
Okay, the Baja is the hardest part to get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Baja Giamila.
What comes after the Baja? There's a first letter that's after A.
Baja, Mia,
No, that M doesn't come after A.
B.
B. Okay. Yep. Okay, then
Baja, Bima,
Bia.
Biamila.
Biamila.
You
Baja
won.
Biamila.
God damn
Baja
it.
Got it.
Biamila. Yeah,
It's easy.
Yeah, got
It's
it.
easy. You know what's?
Well, I think
I
it was a
find that
G.
your name is easy when you're reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Hard when you're trying to
Actually,
memorize
no,
it.
I was thinking Giamilla because the silent G at the beginning.
Yes.
That's
so,
what fucked
So,
me up.
so the G is silent,
Yeah.
and then if you look at it, once you get past that, it's just Baja and then Biamila.
Yeah, that's
But then
Biamila.
when you see it, I think it plays. I mean, even for me as a kid, I mean, it was intimidating. Like my dad had a sign in our living room that he got it from Disneyland. You know when they like carve your name into the wood piece.
Oh, yeah.
That's how
That guy.
I'm kissing up. I would spell my name like this. I just
Looking up at
it was too many letters.
Oh,
But
wow.
also, like,
But my kids are in the second grade, and they learn how to spell the last name like in the first grade. So that tells you I was a little slower.
well, that's the thing. Yeah, you're like, man, name, shmame. Just call me Akbar.
I'll still never forget when I went. I'll still remember the time when I was a kid and I remembered how to spell it, and I ran upstairs like, "Dad, Mom, I know how to spell it. G, B." It was like I was hyperventilating. Like it was like A, J, A. Like
You're
I
like
spelled
Big
it.
Whoop. You're 17 years old. Get ready for work. Your name is also that probably gave that Disneyland artist the sweats too. When your dad came up, like, all right, this is what I'd like, and he's
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh,
He was like, "What?"
what?
No.
I gotta get a longer plank for this.
And people think that you're messing with them when you start spelling. It's like, hold on, you already said A couple of times now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know. There's more in there.
Hey, your whole name, I did homework on the whole name. It is beautiful.
Yeah,
It's wait, so it's I'm not even gonna
I
attempt to
always
pronounce
love
it.
when white
but
people
it is,
try it.
it's broken
say
down.
the whole thing. You gotta
Oh
say
yeah, I'll
it.
try.
Okay.
Akbar Alawakima Idoa Baja Biamila.
I don't know if that was white or that was just bad.
Yeah, don't blame my whiteness. It's just bad reading. There's no phonetics with names.
So I'll give you the American version,
Yeah.
and then I'll give you with the Nigerian accent. So it's Akbar Oluwakemi Idowu Baja Biamila. And then with the Nigerian accent, it's Akbar Oluwakemi Idowu Baja Biamila.
Oh, that's better. I like better like that.
Yeah, like that.
You know, like when Cristela Alonso orders like tacos, she still has to be like, tacos? And you're like, dude, you didn't have to keep it that way. You could have said taco.
Right.
Wait, but when it's broken down, Akbar means greatest.
Yep.
And you've been successful in literally like everything you've done, I feel like. So that's accurate. And then your middle
I'm
and
working
last
there.
names, Yoruba.
Yoruba. Mm-hmm.
Yoruba.
Mhm.
And the middle names, wait, so that means greatest, sorry. Oluwakema
Oluwakemi.
means God blessed me, which he did. You
Praise God. Yes.
physically fit. You're a handsome guy. You got
Appreciate
a
that.
successful show. You got college, NFL. You 4 kids, and then one of it. Adowu means
Idowu.
born after twins.
Yeah, I was born after twins, my brother and sister, twins. So when you give your name in the Nigerian culture, people know your story. So
Oh,
it's
I
like
love
it's a
that.
story.
Wow, yeah.
So when you tell them, it's like, okay. So if I tell them Idowu, they go, oh, okay. What of Kainde
That's
Taiwo?
so cool.
So they know already where you
That's
you
awesome.
chart.
Yeah, it's not just like I don't know, Cole's a popular name this year. I'll name my baby
how
Cole.
Mad, how
You're
mad
right.
are you? Your parents were just like, I don't know, Jeff.
I know. That's where I was going with this whole thing, actually. And then Baja Biamila means big man come save me.
Yeah.
And that's because your great-great-grandfather was 7 foot tall.
Yeah. That's why I'm 6'6".
That's
I
amazing.
guess.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was, I think it's 3 grades. My great great grandfather was 7-footer in the village. And so whenever people would have problems, they'd always say, "AKBAR GBAJABIAMILA," meaning big man, come and save me, come help us out. So he would go out and mediate.
Nice.
And so that was.
Yeah, because when I first read it, I thought it was like a God reference. I was like, oh, that's beautiful. Like the big man comes out. Like it's even kind of like sweet to call your Lord like big man, like, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But then it's just a 7-footer that's
'cause
related.
The last name, I believe, was originally Berkeley. So I could have been Akbar Berkeley.
Nah.
And then it was a name given to him that then became a family name. So literally anyone with the last name Bajabiamila is family because it's a one of a kind,
wow.
one of
So
a kind
cool.
last name.
Yeah, nobody
awesome.
cares. Like, literally, no one has ever said, like, oh, Jeff, am I pronouncing that correctly? That's never happened. No one's ever, like, I go, oh, I'm Jeff, and it's like saying nothing. Like, they've never been like, oh, how'd you get that? Or like, what? It's never,
Yeah.
someone will say Jeff at the mall. I won't even turn around. I'm like,
Right,
that's
so I'm
probably
sure
not
there's
me.
another Jeff, right?
70 Jeffs here.
When somebody says Akbar, Well, let me not go there because there's somewhere else I could go with that. But chances are they're talking to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that Star Wars character probably ruined your life for a little bit.
Admiral Akbar. Yeah. I also, though, got a bit on NFL Fantasy Live where it's called It's a Trap. So I'm a NFL fantasy analyst, and I call out each week players who I think are going to do well, but they're not.
Okay.
So they're trapped. So I get up, dressed up in my Admiral Akbar and
nice.
and I give my spiel, and I go, "It's a trap!
It's a trap.
So
I love that.
So in the fantasy world, they call me Admiral Akbar.
Well, when they killed Princess Leia, right? Like when she died on the Star Wars movie, that same movie, well, you thought she died, right?
Oh,
Right.
the last one, in episode 8, yeah.
Oh, you're not spoiling anything, right? You've seen
No,
it.
that's
I've seen
old.
it.
It's been
Yeah.
out for a long time.
The episode 8, yeah.
But that movie, they killed Admiral Akbar. Nobody said anything.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and nobody was like, "Hey, rest in peace." They were just like, "Leia." Like
I know.
Right.
I know.
I was like, "That's a
I
pretty
think
big
because
character."
he was alien. I think he was alien, but that was when you talk about viral before things that was a thing. Like,
Yeah.
It's a Trap went viral. Everybody remembers that.
That
It's
was
a
like
trap.
that's like one of the first like memes.
Yeah, right.
Like
Yeah.
before memes were a thing.
I couldn't believe he didn't get no love from
I
the
know.
Star Wars fans. I
his,
mean,
his son lives on though.
that's true.
He has a son.
Does he?
Yeah, yeah.
What's his son's name?
I forget what it is.
And also, these
but
Star Wars
it's-
stories jump around so much, anyways. There might be a whole Akbar movie someday.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right,
like,
right,
it's
right.
not like you'll never see it again.
They're
Admiral-
just milking it, right?
It's
I
crazy.
think they are now just making up stories now.
Admiral
Like,
Akbar's son.
are you serious?
Yeah, it's
What if my son?
Geel Akbar.
What?
That's his name. Geel.
Oh, but so Admiral Akbar is his last name.
Akbar's his last name. Yeah, that's his son. Looks just the same.
Yeah, it's like the same
He
character.
looks exactly the same.
Wait, so like your kids are pretty young. How?
Wait, unless
are
that's,
they-
unless that's Admiral.
Maybe that is.
Hold on, I know his son's in there.
Yeah.
I know it.
You just found an old photo of him and goes, "This must be him."
Yeah, wait.
Because what was Admiral Akbar's first name?
It's Geel. That's okay. That's Admiral. What's his son's name?
Does he have a son? Who did he
His
have a
son's
kid
in episode 9.
He had to go back to his own planet for sure to do that.
with?
He can't.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have any powers, right?
I've never seen anyone that
He's
looks
just
like
a
him.
general.
Were you a Star Wars guy growing up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Grew up big time.
The,
My oldest brother, got me into that.
Really?
Mhm.
I'm always fascinated what like ages or like generations or even just like cultures, right? You grew up in Crenshaw.
Yep, Crenshaw,
Right.
South Central Los Angeles.
And then your parents were immigrants
Mhm.
from Nigeria.
Right.
And did they like Star Wars or was this just kind of like, what is this?
No.
Because mine got pushed on me by my parents.
Yeah, so my parents, the only thing my parents pushed on us was Michael Jackson, Marvin Gaye. I think that was my mom loved Anita Baker. No, I'm sorry, Anita Baker. Aretha Franklin, excuse me. Aretha Franklin and
Aftab.
It's a stupid name.
Aftab Akbar is his name.
Okay, I'm not naming my kid.
He's not
that.
going to be an admiral.
Yeah, right, I don't like that name. But yeah, that was about as American as things got. So after
Okay.
that was like if you tell them watch stuff, what is all this Star Wars stuff?
yeah.
You don't know all this Star Wars stuff. But I will give my parents credit. My mom and dad would sit down when they had Friday night main events on TV for wrestling.
Oh, nice.
Or was it Saturday night? It came on Friday, but I think it was Saturday night main event. Regardless, it was on Fridays. I do remember on Fridays, and we would watch wrestling, and my mom would just say, "Hulk Hogan is my boyfriend."
I love that.
But
He's a
that's
hero.
that's all she knew. I think they just literally sat there with us as we watched and went crazy over.
That's your mom
wrestling.
saying, "I love America." That's what she said. Like if you like Hulk Hogan, that is like as American as it gets, really.
But my parents didn't know much about American culture. Like, I was surprised though when my dad knew who Tupac Shakur was. This
really?
is in the '90s, and my dad said something about Tupac, and I was like, "What you know about Tupac?"
Dad's getting hip. Yeah,
right.
I'm friends with a comedian named Godfrey, who's he's Kenyan, I think, or Nigerian. I'm trying to remember. I know exactly where he's from because he talks about it in his act. But his impression of his dad is like my favorite thing I've ever heard about. He's like, my dad's catchphrase, just every day, everything, no matter what happened, he goes, "Who is going to pay for this?" Everything.
Yeah.
He's like, "You, Dad, you're the adult. You're the." He's like, "Lunch, who will pay for this?" He's like, "You will, Dad." Like, it's like the
was he
funniest-
born here?
Yeah, he was.
The crazy thing is that if you're first generation, like I am, like Godfrey, you can't imitate your parents or speak in your parents' voice without using the accent. I cannot do it. I've never said. My dad said, "You should go to your room," because
You never.
my dad sounded and looked like King Jaffe Jaffer from Coming to America. You said what? Go to your room. I'm going to get my belt. Give me your butt. Shut up your mouth.
That's so great. And I think it's the funniest accent. It's like, also like, I imagine my parents are just from, California or something, but I think my mom's like Oregon or something. I don't know much. I don't know much about them. But like, your parents were holding on to some ideologies of where they're from,
right.
and then the American ones that they're trying to adopt. There was, so some things that seem stupid to them that are American, it's like, no, we're doing this from over here. But this, okay, we'll do this from over here. Whereas, like, I find that so much more fascinating.
Yeah, well, my parents, I know that a lot of it was trying to hold on, especially in the Nigerian culture, trying to hold true to your Nigerian roots and your culture. I remember early they tried to teach us the Yoruba language.
Oh, that's good.
But as times got tougher, they both had to obviously get out there and pound the ground to raise 7 kids in LA. And it's just obviously crazy expensive. No matter what time period you're looking at, it was always relative to the time period, it was always expensive. But I just remember growing up and my parents the stuff that my friends would do that we couldn't do, like take long showers, but my dad would doom, 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 doom. Turn off the water. Turn off you're wasting water. I just got in the shower. Like, why are you tripping? Like, I had basketball practice today. Yeah. I'm sweating.
I'm a giant athlete. It's going to take a second.
So my dad would take these 5-gallon detergent buckets and fill it with water. And that's all we had. And you had a bowl in there, and that's all you had to take a shower.
Wow.
I don't want to hear the water running. Sometimes I would try to like turn it, but we had old pipes. So if you turn it, the pipe will start running. Turn off your water. It's like, dang.
That's amazing.
But that's all you got was 5 gallons to take that. But I fast forward to 2006. I was with the Chargers at the time, and I flew during the offseason. My brother and I, we went to Nigeria to see where he grew up for the first time. And it hit me when I walked into my grandmother's place, and to the left, there were like 4 or 5 big trash buckets of water. And I thought when my dad would say I would have to walk to the well to get water, I'm like,
yeah, right.
Like, because you hear Americans saying that and they lying. They ain't running walk to no dang on well. You've always had running water. Well, there was no running water there. And I saw these there's 3 blue and 2 black ones. And I'm going, oh, I get it. Yeah. This is why, because that's an all-day thing you're doing to fill these buckets up. You're not just, putting these big old buckets and then carrying them. They're heavy. So you had to go back and forth to fill it up. So it was an all-day thing. Wow. And it made me go, gosh, I was a jerk because I was always complaining how we don't get to eat. All my other friends can take really get a shower that comes out the thing. And we got to try to mix the cold and the hot together.
But you were a kid. I think we were all jerks when we were kids about about something like that. Yep. Do you see any of the stuff that your dad put in you that you'll kind of do to your kids?
Yep. Yep. Doom, 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 doom. Turn off the water. Like, I can afford the water, but it's like you're wasting water. Or my parents, especially my dad, was the most resourceful. Like when you grow up without a certain amount of means, you learn to be resourceful.
Sure.
I grew up and I hate saying because I don't feel like I grew up poor, just because after seeing how my dad grew up, I realized I can't say that I grew up poor. So it's hard. But in our culture, people would say, oh, you grew up, poor or whatever. And it makes you resourceful. And so I try to find things, for example, stupid stuff like when I'm washing dishes, if I'm rinsing out the blender, rather than take that blender water that's filled up with soap, I'll try, there's another bowl over here on the other side. I'm going to use it to rinse this off. I try to recycle the water within, wash it, and just trying to get the most out of everything.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
But those are like good habits. You got any bad ones from
them? Bad habits. Broken English sometimes.
Okay.
So when I first started out doing Ninja Warrior, there's certain things like I will pluralize things that shouldn't be plural, and I would singularize things that shouldn't. And I would do those things and not even be conscious of it. And it wasn't until one of my old teammates from San Diego State, JR, brought it to my attention. But I was like, man, you just picking, making fun of me. But then when I got on TV, like, no, we got to have you say that line again. We need to redo that. Why? What happened? I read it just like it said it on the teleprompter. Yeah, but that's plural. Oh, shoot. And to this day, it's one of those things. I just call it out. hey, call me out, guys. If you hear if I drop it
Sure.
or add it, just call me out.
Which is funny because I do that all the time because comedy has like allowed me to do it. So like comedy has let me talk wrong so many times, and they think I'm being funny. They're like, that's hilarious. He said gooder, you know. and so now no one's correcting me because they think I'm trying to be funny, and it's just made my English worse, like because I'm just getting away with it, like left and right. Like
I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
As a comedian, do you feel like you are under attack? Do you feel like there's a legitimate threat to your craft?
I don't think I'm under attack.
Not you personally, but comedy.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's people are misinterpreting what stand-up comedy is and then trying to cancel it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, for example, the best person that's ever worded it was Ryan Stout. He said that like they're using the wrong sense. You know, so like humor, your sense of humor is different than your sense of empathy. So people are blurring these senses. So it's like, yeah, you might be very empathetic and very sympathetic, but that's not what this is. We're doing comedy. This is only your sense of humor. So he goes, for example, this is his quote, is that it'd be like saying the Mona Lisa is a bad painting because it smells bad. It's like, no, we're using our sight. That's what the Mona Lisa is. It has nothing to do with smell.
Right.
And so that's what I battle every night. I feel like I'm yelling at audiences almost every single night. Like, guys, I am not running for office up here. This is a comedy club in a mall. Like this, if you brought that crap in here, that's on you. That's on you. Like, you got to stop. And I feel especially like in colleges. I mean, and I think, it started Jerry Seinfeld and Chris Rock were like, I'm not doing colleges anymore. Well, they're richer than me and I still need to do colleges,
Right.
And so I would go, and then I slowly started to realize like, yeah, this is not worth it. I'm just going to not.
But what is it about the college campus? What's happening on the college campus? Like, what are their responses? They're just.
If you want my actual controversial opinion about it, I think that the left has gone so far in the universities that it's kind of like created this area where they don't even want humor. They don't want anything. Like everything is so far leftist.
Right.
Because we know when the far right's gone too far.
Right.
When they're racist or they're like talking about evil. It
seems like the far left has no end.
We don't know what is too far when it's left.
Right.
Like if they say, well, I want to give a kid hormones and make because my 6-year-old boy believes he's a girl and now I want to start giving him estrogen. So, like in my opinion, that sounds too far.
Right.
But they go, you're being blah 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 if you think that or if you joke about those things or whatever. And so I feel under attack at universities. I feel like the job is slowly getting, It's tricky.
Because I was watching the David Chappelle thing, his last stand-up, and he addressed that in the beginning. You know who I'm making fun of? I'm making fun of you.
Exactly.
That's you.
Yeah. And in some ways it's helped because people that are actually like higher-minded who can identify, like, who can say, like, yeah, this is stupid. That this is gone too far. Those people are turning up and being heard and
But it's making being a public figure, to be quite honest, and I get some people would be offended by it because I even got to say that before I even say what I'm going to say because you always got to try to protect yourself. But it feels like you're always under constant attack and you can't really be you. Like it feels depressing at times because it's like, man, I can't really be me. I can't say what I think. I can't.
You'll want to tweet something, right?
I want to tweet all the time, and I'm going, no.
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? Because there's so many.
I'm speaking to 400 followers. I can't imagine what it'd be like for like you guys.
But
I'm like, I don't want the one response that I'm gonna get.
Right.
Yeah, because they'll attack you for whatever reason. It's just like, and you don't have any idea where this rage is coming from, and you think something that is innocent. Like for example, I took a lot of heat for taking a picture with Michael Vick.
Oh, really?
At the NFL Network.
Dude, he's the best.
And I saw Michael Vick, and I was like, oh, man, like, I was on, well, I didn't play that game, but it was the Raiders against the Falcons. I was inactive during that game, but, I'm like, this is Michael Vick.
He's a great guy, too.
And I can admire him as a football player and everything that he did, and then also recognize what he did was a horrible thing, but he lost millions of dollars. More importantly, he served his time, went to prison. And I'm like, well, what else is there? Like, should he die? Should I kill him?
He didn't do anything to me. Yeah, he didn't. Exactly.
Like what should be like? I've lost all respect. One guy said, "I'm returning your book. I'm going to return your book."
It's so silly.
And I'm like, well, you can go ahead and return it, but I'm like, but for what?
Right. Also Michael Vick, he had to do community service after he was released, and they said, okay, well, what would you like? What's something that's important to you? You're allowed to do your community service and whatever you'd like, and he chose a dog place, like a
Right.
dog, some kind of shelter, something like that. And then his advisors were like, we don't recommend that. There are people that are very upset at you still. And he goes, well, those are the people I wronged.
Yeah.
And those are the people that I want to. So he chose to go into the lion's den and help in those communities. He got his daughter a dog. Like he is, he's
going through his
such
process.
a good guy.
Yeah, he's going through his process of, trying to, do the best he can to right his transgressions.
I love him. I think he's a great guy.
Like one guy told
And I'm a
me
big
that I
dog
know,
guy.
one guy was just like, well, he could have done more in this area that I'm doing because he's really rehabilitating one of Michael Vick's dog. Well, he should be doing more with this group. And I'm like, but you're not the only group that feels that way. It's like the expectations are unrealistic. So the amount of heat that I got, my team is calling me and saying, you got to take the picture down. I was like, I'm not taking the picture down of Michael Vick.
Yeah, no way.
He came to the NFL Network. He came to my workplace. When I was like, oh my gosh, I can't take a picture of that. I can't even speak to you. I can't look at you because.
Right. When also, why aren't they mad at Fox? Are they mad at Fox? Fox hired him, right?
Right.
He was working there.
Right. I mean, but I think people don't feel like he should have an occupation. He should just be on the streets. Like, I don't know what the rage, but I can't even figure it out. I mean, you and I talking about, I know we're not going to solve it or resolve it, but it would be nice to know why people are just so angry. But I think about people like you because I love comedy, but I don't even want to go to comedy anymore because I've been to a couple where I'm like, this is kind of watered down. This isn't as funny because they're just too... They're too tiptoeing. And it was like, now I got to kind of read between the lines. I just want somebody to say something that I think that I would never say. And then they're going like, wow, that was funny. And I'm glad we're in this. This is the new stuff that they say on college campus. Safe space.
Oh, God.
The comedy club used to be a safe place. Now everybody's pull out their phones. Yep, I'm going to get you in trouble. You're done.
Yeah, it's so stupid. It's funny when you're saying that, I was thinking about it. It's like, I've been trying to like remind audiences too, like they weren't always this woke. You know what I'm saying? Like they had to learn it. Like, and so like the way that they just want to cancel anyone who screws up. Like, oh, Michael Vick did something bad. Delete him forever. Get him. No, he's growing and he's evolving and he's learned like, oh, that's a thing that we did like where I'm from and my brother was into and all the people I knew, my cousins, and he just bankrolled it too. It wasn't even like he wasn't like there like betting on dogs and cutting them with knives or something. And so we live in this like screw up once and you're kind of canceled thing. And it's like, that's not how people learn. Like if you just got canceled every time you screwed up, you'd have no life. None of us would. We all screw up. We're all sinners.
I have to tell one of my, and this is to me the power of forgiveness, because I've said this and I heard this from Oprah Winfrey, which is very powerful, that forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different. And I think people are trying to go into the past and try to change it. You can't change the past.
Of course.
The past is like, if you've made a mistake, the only thing you can do is learn from that. And it was a powerful sign of forgiveness from the, now I guess he was the CEO of Papa John's Pizza. I can't remember his name, but he's the guy that was all on the commercial.
Oh, okay.
Right. And in college, I was a broke college student. I did something wrong. I'm telling myself. And they had these coupons where it says, hey, you get a free coupon and get free pizza. Every time I would order pizza, I'd say, I lost it. I just had it. It was right here. I probably got like 3 or 4 pizzas. It's essentially stealing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. That's
you use dishonesty as a tool to get
free food.
Yeah.
To get free food.
Yeah.
And I told him this at the NFL Network studios. I told him this and I was like, I felt bad. I was like, I'm thinking as an adult now, like that was wrong.
Sure.
What do you think he did? That's his franchise. What do you think he did?
Gave you more coupons.
That's exactly right. $50 worth of pizza.
Nice.
I go, wow. He goes, it's all right. It's all good.
Yeah.
And it was just like, but I felt like I had to confess because I knew I had done something some people probably think it's not a big deal. To me, it was.
It's an ethical choice.
It was an ethical choice. But I'm like, wow. Me even saying that, well, shoot, Akbar should not be the host of American Ninja Warrior because he stole pizza. You know, like as but that's happening now. Like anyone is susceptible for anyone to go into their past, find something that they're outraged about, and then go, You should not have any form of employment. You shouldn't hold any
That's
title.
crazy.
You shouldn't be a parent. I mean, this is like they could just strip
I'd rather
away.
them punch me in the face or something. At least I can go to work tomorrow. You know, like to take away my livelihood.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird. Michael Che just deleted his Twitter like altogether like 5 years ago or something like that. And I saw him in New York. I'm good pals with him, and I was like, "Hey, man, you're not on Twitter anymore?" And he's like, "Dude, I just don't want to deal with it." He's like, "They think celebrities aren't allowed to even screw up with sentences.
Yeah.
Like they're not even allowed to say a thing that's bad, let alone do a thing that's bad."
Right.
Like he's like, and I don't want it's all
I
risk.
so badly want to like, and this is evil. I wish a fast death to social media. I hope social
Really?
media. Yeah, I wish a
What
fast
don't you like
death.
about it? Because your kids are probably pretty in it. Like,
No way.
Nope, they're not.
No way. My kids do not have a Facebook,
Really?
Instagram, not a TikTok, not a Snapchat,
Good for
none of
you.
it. And I've told them, like, I've given them a little dangling hope. If they listen to this, they'll know that I've been lying to them. I said they're going to get it in the 11th grade. You're not getting it in 11th grade. They're not getting a cell phone. They're not getting social media. Because what I think is giving a voice to a bunch of ignorant people.
Absolutely.
And a bunch of ignorant people are changing lives in such a way that is like, it's not productive. And, you know, all these people and all of these corporate sponsors and corporations, they have these social pressures coming from people who aren't even educated in something. They're just outraged. It's so volatile. Yeah, it's just so volatile. Their emotions go one way or the other way. Today you can say this, tomorrow you absolutely can't say that. And I'm just like, it doesn't, like, we're going to be playing this game for a very long time. And the only reason why I can say we're in this point is because so many people have a voice that can be read. Like, it's always crazy if I'm watching like the Today Show and it's like, and today social media is going crazy. Social media is going crazy. Think about that. Who is social media? It's like comments like, you know what they say now. Who's they? Who's they?
Yeah, we're letting the mob, you know, and not like the mob like connected Italians and Irishmen and, you know, but I mean like the mobs of like with the pickets and all this stuff like from the old village times, like they're controlling the whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a new form.
Yeah.
Wild. I can't believe you have 4 kids and they don't have any. I mean, that's impressive.
Well, my son, my 18-year-old, he has Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, he has an Instagram account, but he doesn't use it he has 0 posts.
Really?
He just looks at it to look at other people.
Right, to see their
But
posts.
he's learned, you know, sending him off to college. I had to tell him, I said, I got to give it real. I'm saying, look, we are in some crazy time. If a girl likes you and she sends you some inappropriate pictures, don't send anything back. I don't care if she tells you she wants to marry you, this and that. Don't send anything back. Don't comment on anybody's thing, because somebody could take your post or something you said at 18 years old and then say, now, 25 years from now, you're trying to be a doctor. Say, oh, you said this when you're 18. Yeah, I said 25 years. I hope it doesn't take him that long to be a doctor. When he's 25 is what I meant. Yeah. But that you're trying to be a doctor and somebody's going to hold you prison to something you said.
And they will. And we've seen it.
Right.
Like the whole world operates like HR. like it's policing the whole area. Like you couldn't use that word. You're like, what? It's a word.
Right.
It's so crazy how people find, like, who has the time to look at someone's tweets from 2008 to like draw it up?
Well, I think that they like that power of like, I was the one. Just little old me was able to take down Kevin Hart. And you're like, well, why would you even want to take down Kevin Hart?
And that Kevin Hart, that whole thing was so powerful, watching that documentary on Kevin Hart. And he said something, he's like, I don't want to give the power. They're going to make him keep apologizing and keep apologizing. And it just almost was like, well, and I'm listening to his team saying, well, some people aren't familiar with your apology. So how many times you got to keep apologizing?
Yeah, they're not familiar with it. They could find that, but they can't find your apology. That's ridiculous.
That's true. Like, they can find the old tweet, but they can't.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, they can find the old tweet, but they can't find the old apology.
My favorite thing, Ricky Gervais got like so much credit for doing the opening of the Golden Globes, and everyone was sharing it because it was very funny. He was willing to say something that no one else was willing to say to the most elite of like
Hollywood.
show business.
Yep.
But one of the lines I thought that was best that nobody keeps that nobody had in their little thing that they were bragging about was he goes, Kevin Hart wasn't allowed to host the Grammys, or not the Grammys, what was it?
The Oscars.
Kevin Hart wasn't allowed to host the Oscars because of offensive tweets. Hello. It's like such a good line because if you go through Ricky Gervais's, it's just like good night, but that's what he's known for.
Right.
So they're like, oh, he's a British guy.
So
We're
you
being
can be known for
accepting
that, and it's
sort
acceptable.
of. Like, because I think that Americans are so stupid, and sorry, but they're so like so dumb that they let other cultures get away with other stuff.
Right.
So they're like, oh, he's a British guy. That's what they say over there, you know.
Yeah,
I see it a lot. Like there's some Asian guys that he's really funny on Instagram, but he says the N-word like a bunch all the time, and Nigga, right, is what he's saying. And I'm like, wait, is that allowed? Like he's an Asian guy,
Right.
but I guess it is. I think just anybody that's not white can say it. I don't know the rules. I mean, like it was just kind of like shocked.
Yeah, that's a good question. I
don't know. But in my mind, I was like, is he? I guess he's allowed. I was like
it's
looking around
almost
for
like
the
one
police.
of those things. I remember when I first got into after I retired from the NFL and getting into sports broadcasting. I was like, how do I get to be like Charles Barkley? Because Charles Barkley literally has the right to say whatever he wants. And the consequences. But when you try to be like this perfect and try to say the right thing and do the right thing, you're actually adding more pressure. Like I look at the downfall of, for example, like socially for Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods being this perfect image that Nike built up.
Yeah.
And when he had an affair, right? It brought down everything.
Yeah,
if you think about that,
the whole thing collapsed.
His empire crumbled because he had this flaw, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas if this happened to a person, like if it was out on the streets, like, oh, Tiger Woods, he be putting it down.
Right.
It would not be a thing.
Right. It's not as salacious. It's not the interesting misdirection.
But it was this perfection. I think the pressure of trying to keep this perfection that somehow you are perfect, or a role model means that you are perfect and you never make mistakes.
Yep.
Like that's so hard to do.
Well, I've used this example on this podcast, I believe, before, but that's what people want. They want the salacious. Like if I'm like a nice guy on television, they'll Google like, is he really that nice? But if I'm an asshole on thing, they like the contrarian idea of like, well, I met him and he's actually like a cool guy. That's like just TV. That's how they edit him, you know.
Right.
And the same thing with like Barack Obama, right? Great guy, charming. But if the story came out that he had like some
a baby mama
girlfriend that was like a white chick who lived somewhere, like that would be much more interesting front page news than if you heard Donald Trump had some side like that would be just like a regular. We'd be like, yeah, I bet Donald Trump does.
Right.
Because we already know Donald Trump is like
and it's okay.
doing things daily.
You're right.
Yeah.
But people would be like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You're right. Obama and they could do the same exact thing.
The same things.
And he's not the president anymore.
Yeah.
Trump
he would be in the biggest. If you ever heard if Barack Obama said
headlines.
like a grab her by the pussy, like it would be the biggest. He would be canceled so fast.
Right.
But Trump does it, and they go, it's just Wednesday. Yeah, that's what Wednesday.
Not to
that's
mention
what he does.
too, and I think a lot of people, especially black men, black women, who are in power or who have this certain public figure.
Yeah.
That you kind of hold not only that, like the pressure of being perfect, but you also feel like you're representing an entire race.
Absolutely.
So I could only imagine if Obama like said something like not only did for his family and whatever and trying to keep this this image, but he's also representing an entire black race with
a crazy amount of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure. It's like I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I think anyone would tell I'm not perfect.
Do you feel like that at all? Like I don't know, like Russell Wilson, for example, he couldn't be a better dude.
Right.
He's really great to Sierra, who I'm friends with. Like he's a great quarterback. He's a great teammate. He does all these great things. I mean, he seems flawless. He goes to bed at like 10 p.m. and quotes Bible verses, and they just get up early training. He just seems like this great. And I'm sure he has flaws or whatever, but he's a great human. And then you hear things like, well, but he's like a corny ass dude. He's not like black enough, and like it's just like, dude, he represents your community or culture or whatever you would call it really well. He's a good dude.
It's funny. He was mic'd up for like a Monday night game, and people were like trying to roast him the next day because everything he was saying to his teammates on the sideline was like positive.
Right.
We can do this. We got this. We got this.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you why, because I think a lot of it stems from enviness. And so when you see someone who is like this ideal model, it's like no different than when a person goes to somebody and they dress really nice, like, man, you think you clean. They have a hard time saying, like, I admire how you live your life. I admire how you conduct business.
That's what we should change.
They can't say it, so they make the person feel bad about the way they are until they get that person to be. It's this whole idea that misery loves company.
Yeah.
Until I can get you to be more like me, then I'm going to ridicule you for being like me and saying that you're inconsistent. Now, guess what? I feel better about myself. And I'm very familiar with this, and I'll be open about it, is when I was in college, I came in as a proud virgin.
Oh, okay.
Can you imagine walking into a college locker room, Division I locker room?
Yeah.
I'm a virgin. And it was like, because my parents raised me this way. I was like, yeah, I'm a virgin. I had no idea, and I wasn't as verbal about it in high school. It was just, I just kind of kept it to myself. But in college, it was just like, you're around a bunch of alpha males, and it was like you went from a small little football team to 100 guys, and oh boy, they made you feel so bad about
I mean, I'm not shocked, but
But instead of saying, I admire your strength, your commitment
that's harder
to it.
to do.
That's harder to say. You know what I mean? Like, but they can't say that. So what do? I'm going to make you more like me. And man, you know different than us.
Sure.
Man, you know different. The minute I lost my virginity, man, you know different than us.
Interesting.
And I'll never forget hearing that because it stung me in a certain way. When I heard it, I was like, dang, was that a trap?
Yeah.
Like, I got to get you off of this high horse of being a virgin.
Yeah.
And then once you then broke, like, literally, this was the gesture. And you know different than us.
Yeah. We thought, you thought you were better. We thought you were better.
Right. I never thought I was better. I was just like, my parents told me, wait till marriage. And theirs was, you can't talk to me. You don't know nothing. You a virgin. All this other stuff.
Really?
So I think that's the same thing that comes with Russell Wilson. They see that he's living his life a certain way. So they're going to tease him relentlessly about not being black enough. And because in the black community, that's the dagger. If you speak a certain way, oh, you're not like, that's a real stab. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's them saying you're not one of us.
Yeah, you're not one of us.
You're not in our group.
Right. Until I can get you to make me feel better about myself, then
that's interesting.
Yeah,
it's kind of like being a vegetarian. Tell somebody you're a vegetarian. Watch how fast people are like, ugh. You're like, why do you even care what's going in my body? Yeah. I want to talk about your football career because that's what I know least about you.
Yeah,
I know you know a ton about it. You have the fantasy show. I know you host Ninja Warrior. Yeah. I looked up a lot of great stuff about just your personal life. But so you were undrafted.
I was an undrafted free agent coming out of San Diego State University, and so before then, I was a basketball player. I love basketball.
Okay.
And I got to football because my brother, who played for the Packers, he'd been playing football since he was a kid and absolutely loves football. And he'd been always the best. And when I got to high school, which I went to Crenshaw High School, and I was like playing for the mini Lakers, junior Lakers team.
Oh.
Everybody wanted to go to Crenshaw High School. Like, historically, like the most championships, and it was like produced NBA players. That was a dream as a kid. I knew that if I was going to play for the Lakers, I had to go to Crenshaw High School.
I didn't even know that about Crenshaw.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. Crenshaw High School, like the elite basketball program. It's ridiculous. Like 800 wins, 600 wins, something like that at the time. And I got there in 10th grade, 11th grade, played basketball. And I kept getting harassed by the coaches to play football. And I didn't want to play football. I was like, man, this thing is barbaric. Don't nobody want to play football. And so I decided I was going to play. And my very first day of practice, I still remember, like, because I didn't have any cleats. My parents didn't have, by that time, my brother was already off to college. And I wore size 15. I'm like, where are we going to get some size 15? My parents were like, we don't got no money to go get him some special cleats. So I remember my coach Gary going to UCLA, getting me some beat up Adidas one of them didn't have a tongue in it. So that was my very first day I wore that. My pads on backwards and whatever. I'm in practice and we start going through drills. I was crying like a baby underneath my helmet. I was like, this is barbaric. After the first day, I'm like, why did I even sign up? No, actually, it was the first week. I said, why did I even sign up for this?
Were you bigger than the other players?
Taller.
Okay.
Yeah, taller, but I was skinny. I was 220 pounds or something like that, 218, 220, something like that. And my dad made me go back. He said, you start it, you finish it. Well, I had put all my life, when I say like basketball was my girlfriend, that's all I ever thought about. I was a kid dribbling to school with a basketball in my backpack. That's all I was. Loving basketball was me. Like, that's all I love was basketball. So my dad made me go back after I quit. I was begrudging, I was just pissed. So I went and played, did well enough to get a scholarship, 5 scholarships, got 0 scholarships in basketball. Something that I'd given my whole life to, I got 0 scholarships. So I ended up going the football route, went to San Diego State. I was still learning the game. Very first practice, I remember the coach saying, "Hey, I want you to line up on the tackle." And I was like, I don't know which one the tackle is.
Yeah.
He goes, "You got to be kidding me." And he goes, "This is the mother effing, center. This is the guard. This is the tackle. And this is the tight end." I mean, he was just like, "How do we get you here?" Because in high school, it was just A gap, B gap, C gap. That's all I knew.
But it's funny that I see what you're saying, because enough time had passed that he can't believe you hadn't learned that.
Yeah, well, because it was just that 1 year that I played high school football.
Oh, okay.
And all I knew was go get the guy with the ball, A gap, B gap, C gap. Oh, I can do that. A gap, B gap, C gap. So when my linebacker would tell me, "Oh, B gap, give me B gap." Okay, just go on B gap. And
Nice.
just let athleticism take over. So I started to learn the game. I bring all that just to get us up to speed. So I went undrafted because I was still learning the game of football.
Sure.
And by the time I got to the Raiders, I was playing defensive end. That's all I had ever played. So the first year was kind of a learning experience for me, my rookie year. Second year in the league, they moved me to linebacker. And if you know football, I believe, and I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way, but the dumbest guys on defense are the guys up front, are the defensive linemen. And I say dumb, not that they don't know the game, but there's a certain level of understanding. All you have to deal with is the less responsibility. You have the line play. So I could tell you with my eyes closed all the line movement and who's doing what, back formation, so on and so forth. When I got moved to the linebacker position, I had to see the game from a bigger picture. And if you remove it one more back to the defensive back, you see everything because you got all these guys in front of you. And I struggled. I struggled in 2004. I eventually got cut the next season for the Raiders, sat out a whole year in football. And then I got to the Chargers in 2006, and that's where I actually learned football from Greg Minuski. And Greg Minuski taught me, he realized, he says, "Wow, like we got to get," so I had to learn route concept. Before then, I couldn't tell you what a 7 route, a 9 route, a dig route. I couldn't tell you all the different route combinations. And he taught me that. And then from that point where I kind of got my feet underneath myself, I went on to play. After that, I went to play for the Dolphins. So I went 2 years with the Raiders, a year with the Chargers, and then I got to the Dolphins. Funny story, I got hurt and booted out at the same time. How about that? My roommate, Joey Porter, formerly with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I made it to day one, going up against the Washington Redskins, FedEx Stadium. And I led the team in sacks during the preseason, made the team. I'm feeling good. I'm like, man, I'm playing across from Jason Taylor. They had a special package for Jason Taylor and I. I'm on one end, Jason's on the other.
Nice.
And here we go. They called my package, dime, dime, dime. I'm running out. Here we go, man. This is, because I thought that this was going to be the start of my career, because 03, 04 just didn't go the way. 06, I was still learning. But then when I got there 07, they moved me to defensive line where I felt comfortable. That's my natural position. And I shined. Joey Porter goes, "I'm not coming out of the game." What do you mean? No, dude, you're not coming. And I'm thinking, like, I don't want to get punked. I don't want to get punked.
Yeah, no, you're getting out of the game.
You get out the outside. I'm not moving. I'm staying right here. Flag. Coaches pulled me out. They just paid him like $20 million or something at the time. I was going on just a standard veteran contract.
Sure.
And they pulled me out the game. That was it. But that whole time, during leading up into the preseason, I've been dealing with this knee injury, and they cut me. And I was like, well, shoot, man, you guys, you can't cut me because I'm hurt. So they put me on the IR, got rid of me.
Wait, why did he not want to come out?
Because he felt like he got paid all that money. He didn't want to. And this was my roommate. Like, so I felt betrayed. I was like, dude, like.
It's a big deal.
And this was, for me, this was like, this was it. I was like, if I get cut from the Dolphins, my career is done.
Well, it's not like baseball. Like when he comes out, he can't come back in.
Right. It was a package. It was a special package. It was a third down package. Go get the quarterback.
Unbelievable.
I never even got a chance to even go get the quarterback. So
when you go to your house and you're like, if you have like stuff like this, you know, like hung on the wall
in my office.
What's the what would you consider yourself most? Are you like, do you feel more Raider?
I feel more Raider, but feel very connected to the Chargers because I went to San Diego State.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Chargers is, I developed real relationships in a short amount of time with those players, but that's because they always used to see me around when I was in San Diego. So I really am kind of a two-way team.
Yeah.
But I especially now want to go harder, a little harder for the Chargers. I'll always be a Raider, but I just feel bad that the Chargers are not getting any love in LA, and I want to do whatever I can to help support the Chargers.
What's the solution there?
I think winning. I mean, they just gotta they gotta
last year.
well they gotta win. But here's the other thing. I think they're gonna need a marquee player because the LA thing. Mark Davis is already on top of that. He was with him the other day. But the LA they're so fickle. Like they need celebrity power to be able to grab their attention. You get a bunch of celebrities and you get the winning, they'll jump on. But the only thing is, if they start losing, they get off. They'll jump right off, which is
it's a tough fan base, man. They're like a frustrating fan base for sure.
Right.
But also, like, the city of San Diego is too good to have a sports team. They're just like, it's too fun.
Right.
Like, people just don't want to, they don't want to work. It's hard to work hard when you live in San Diego.
I love San Diego. That's why I left
the best
San Diego.
city.
I left San Diego because I knew if I was going to pursue a career in entertainment and broadcasting, it was just too casual. What I loved about it most, I could go to the mall in flip-flops, sandals, and a bummy t-shirt. Heck, I could probably go in my PJs. Right? I mean, no one cares. In LA, it feels like if you're going to go to the mall or to the gas station, you got to look look apart. And it's just a little bit more work and intentionality. I don't want to put that much time in. I just want to wear my shorts.
Beach town, dude. Yeah, like San Diego. Literally, like I was at a nightclub in 2008 with my girlfriend at the time. I had to do this like appearance, and of course they were furious at her because she brought a boyfriend. Like that's the whole reason they're getting to her peers. So she looks like I'm here tonight, and all the guys can whatever. We were there till probably 2 a.m. She had to stay till like they closed. At a Saturday night in a nightclub at 2 a.m. Everyone's drinking, everyone's doing club stuff. There's probably like 11 San Diego Chargers there. And I was like, wait, there's no way they have a game tomorrow. This must be like a bye week or something like that. We looked at my phone and they had a game, home game that next day.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, the city's too good. These young millionaires are like, I'm not staying in my hotel, man.
But that's kind of everywhere.
Is it?
Yeah, that's kind of everywhere. I'll never forget my first year.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, my first year with the Raiders. I won't say any names, but we were in Chicago, and I'm just thinking, look, here's the curfew. You're supposed to. I thought everybody abided by the curfew.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I was a square.
You're a rules guy. You're a structured guy. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be in my hotel room by 9 o'clock or whenever the curfew was, and they'll do curfew check, and them guys slide right out. Give a little money to the security guy. Take the elevator. I'm not the elevator. The back stairway down. Boom, boom. Go do your thing. You're out in the town getting it in. I'll never forget one of my guys, one of my teammates. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. We got a game. That next morning, we got like a 1 o'clock game or whatever it is, where it's the 10 a.m. game in California. And he's knocking on my neck, I mean, he's drinking and he's walking. And I'm like, oh, dude, we got a game. But he went on bald.
Oh, yeah.
I should go back and look at the stats and go see his stats and go see. I'm like, he could come fix my computer. I know you're a nerd and you know how to fix the Apple computer. Come fix my computer. And I'm like sitting there, you know what I'm saying, walking out my drawers and everything.
That's hilarious.
I was like, that's when I woke up. That was like my aha, like, oh, I guess they get it in.
See, yeah, I was under the impression like they all like have like, there's a buddy system. Like they put two in a room and they say, okay, make sure everybody's. But those two just go, yeah, let's go out tonight together.
Man, off camera, I'll tell you some crazy stories. I got some training camp stories that will blow your mind.
Oh, that's crazy. I love that. Well, from football, you got into like hosting and television. You got a good look. You're fit. You're articulate. So you went straight to Ninja Warrior?
No, I didn't. So this was my path to getting into broadcasting was hard. So as I told you, I didn't have a very impressive NFL career. In fact, I would be considered, as my high school coach would say, oh, you're just a guy. But I was just a guy in the league. My brother was a superstar athlete and I was just a guy. And it was hard because, that's a huge shadow. Like you got the all-time sack leader for the Packers and then you got me. And so that didn't work out. And I'm thinking, what do I want to do? And I just remember this is during Magic Johnson's like prominent business. This is when his whole business thing was magnified and there's a spotlight on it. He had the Starbucks, he had the movie theater, he had part owner of the Lakers, and he had all these things going on. So when I got out, I had about $300,000 in my name. And I'm thinking, okay, what do I do? And I'm like, okay, I want to get into franchising and I wanted to do it like a Chick-fil-A and I wanted to do broadcasting and I wanted to do public speaking and I want to do a little acting and I want to do all these things. And I thought, and real estate was the other thing. I'm going to get into real estate. And I want to do all these things. I remember calling one of my former college teammates who played for the Rams. And I told him all of this. And he goes, Akbar, I'm exhausted just listening to you.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, he said, I'm exhausted. Like, dude, like pick one. Just pick one. Andrew Klein, that's what he told me. He's like, pick one. So I ended up picking broadcasting. He says, if you fail, get up, try again. If you get up, fail, try again. I kept going at it. So I finally figured out who's going to give me an opportunity. I went to ESPN and I interviewed, and they said, look, we brought you in because we saw that you had Business School of Wharton. I did a certification program there. We thought he was intriguing, wanted to see. He said, so tell me, what makes you different? Tell me, he said, tell me, what makes you different? I met with Al Jaffe and Fred Brown at ESPN. And I was like, I'm kind of like Stuart Scott. And his face was like, I ended the interview. He was like, we don't need another Stuart Scott. We have Stuart Scott. He goes, we have Stuart Scott.
Yeah.
He goes, why do you think of all the thousands of athletes that you could come in here and you could think that you're just going to get a job at ESPN? And he kindly, they didn't dog me, kindly, they gave me a tour of the campus and everything, kindly walked me out of the ESPN studios. But he says, here's what you're going to do. I'm going to give you something. He says, you need to get tape. Why don't you try to build your craft and get tape? I'm like, well, how am I going to get tape? Somebody's got to give me an opportunity. Why not you? That's how I'm thinking. So I went home. I'm mad at myself. I was like, you dummy. I'm sitting there proud of my resume. My resume has 3 things. The Raiders, Chargers, and Dolphins. And I'm thinking, look at me. Yeah. Like, I have no other job experience. Like, this is idiotic for me to think I could walk into ESPN and just think I'm going to get the job.
Right.
And I went back to the place I had the most amount of equity, and that was San Diego. I played for the Aztecs, played for the Chargers, and I woke up one morning just tired of being at home, having no job. And I said, hey, look, I'll do the Aztecs and Chargers postgame show for free. As long as you guys give me my tape. They looked at me and it was like, deal.
Yeah.
Deal. Because there's so many retired guys there. San Diego is a great place to come retire. And there was a bunch of athletes there, but they all wanted to get paid. I figured I'm going to take the backdoor approach. And that's what I've called the backdoor approach. And that really ignited my broadcasting career. I did that for 2 years. I sucked early, but I did that for 2 years, got into college football. And I did that from 2009 to part of 2011. I did it for $26,000 a year. The second year, I did it for $28,500. My third year, I did it for $35,000. And remember, I told you, I only had $300,000. And oh, by the way, my first year out of the league, I was going through this identity crisis of who am I?
A lot of athletes go through, yeah.
$68,000 I spent in my first year out of the NFL. You take 68 from 300,000, and like that money's dwindling fast. And here I am making 20-something now. My family's growing. Now I've got a couple of kids. I'm married in 2009. And before you know it, I'm just going in the wrong direction. And it was the job interview for the NFL Network. That's how I got into it. That's where it got me the next step to get to Ninja Warrior. Nice. And I did my first year at Fantasy, making $75,000 a year at the NFL Network. You couldn't tell me anything different. I thought I was rich. I was like, I'm on my way back. I'm on my way back.
That's a fun job, too. It's a
fun job, Because before then, there was a gap where my wife kind of called me out and was like, hey, look, maybe you're pursuing this empty dream. And maybe this is not going to be the case because we're struggling right now.
Sure.
I had to move out of my house in Orange County that I was renting, and I moved back to the house that I grew up in.
Nice.
I moved into Crenshaw. And so I lived there for 6 years, from 2010 to 2016, raising my kids, which was really cool for me to raise my kids in that. But the thing was, sweet. Like, financially, I was like, I didn't have an option. So to live in a house that was free and clear and try to rebuild myself, it was a blessing for me.
Absolutely.
And so that 2012, I got the job for NFL Network. The next year, somebody saw me on NFL or something and said, hey, bring this guy in for an audition. And if you live in LA, you've been through 1,000 auditions and you've had 1,000 no's.
Right.
I did this audition with Matt Eisman, and I'm just thinking, I'm just going to go out here and have fun. And you know what was my saving grace? Wrestling. My favorite part of wrestling were the commentators. I used to love how they would embellish and they would just go in hard. Oh my gosh, right in the abdominis rectus. Oh my goodness. And then and you would feel that, and I would feel and like if you took away the broadcasters,
Just watching it, yeah.
wrestling is horrible to watch. They absolutely make it. And
That's why I like watching it on TV rather than going. To
I hate going.
Oh,
we
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about it all the time.
Yeah,
like,
because
going's not good.
They add to the drama. Oh my God. Well, hold on. What's this?
Yeah.
What's this? Like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
just out of a shock. Like, I can't believe
oh,
this.
that's it. He's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The medics are coming. And,
Yeah.
and so I did that same type of thing when I just watched an old video of Ninja Warrior and we just riffed. And I just, all right, yeah, thanks guys. Boom. I walked out, didn't even think twice about it.
Sure. Was that the first time you met Matt?
That was the first time I
Yeah.
ever met Matt.
He's a great guy.
And it was cold too. It was just, hey, how you doing? All right, here you go. Here's the tape. Here you go. Boom, boom. And I walked out. I was like, I didn't know what a Ninja Warrior was. I'm not getting this job. I was goofing off. Got the job.
That's great. Yeah, and
got
you're
the
great
job.
at the job. It's fun to listen to you guys, just like you just said. I've known Matt since 2005 or something. I've known him forever, just from Seattle comedy.
Yeah, I love Matt.
Good
guy. My first year with him, he probably will never say this because I think he's probably, I mean, maybe he said this underneath his, but he would never openly say, I want him to because I really want to know how he felt. But my first year was hell.
Really?
I thought, oh yeah. In fact, after my first season of Ninja Warrior, I thought they'll never hire me again. I said,
Really?
I shook hands with everybody.
What was so tough about it?
So very first day, this is totally different than sports broadcasting than it is for entertainment. I went to set, and they have wardrobe there in front of me, and they took an hour for them to choose what color I should wear in pants and jacket and all this other. It was all this other stuff. Then they hand me a script. Whoa, that was not a part of my audition.
Right.
And they handed me this script, and I'm like, okay, you got to memorize this. I've got makeup in front of me. I've got producers coming to me, and they just knock, 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 knock.
Yeah.
I mean, it just every time. And I'm like, shoot, I want to, like,
I got to look at this.
I got to look at this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm going through and I'm trying to read it, and then they come, hey, we have a revision. And I'm like, I got to memorize it, and I got 30 minutes now to get out to set. I haven't memorized anything. Lights, camera, action, and before, they don't do this anymore. I think it's because of me. They had our mics open to the crowd. So when we do our stand-up, hello, I'm Matt Iceman from American Ninja Warrior, and I'm AKBAR GBAJABIAMILA. Today's going to be the day, hold on, let's do it again. Like, no, legit, 40-minute stand-up. I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
I could not get it.
And that
the
feeling
crowd,
of like...
And the feeling of embarrassment. I'm sweating underneath. I'm like embarrassed. And I could see Matt just kind of sitting there like, all right. And then he was be kind. He was like, I think you meant to say this. I think you meant to say that. No, you know I didn't think to. Like,
Yeah.
You know how
Just trying to remember that block of dialogue.
Right,
Yeah.
I couldn't get it. So then the next day I go, hey, how about teleprompter?
Of course.
That'd be great, teleprompter. AKBAR, that's genius. I'm sorry. We should have hooked you up with a teleprompter before then. Couldn't read the teleprompter.
Why?
It was just hard.
Oh,
it was it would go like, it was just like, hi, and this is, and then it wasn't in my voice. And it was just, it was awful, man.
Yeah.
It was so awful. I remember somebody from the crowd like, it's not that hard. Read the word. And I was
Oh
like,
my God.
I mean, and I felt this small, and that happened the entire season. And it was just like, there's no way they bring me back to this.
My first show I ever did, I had a very similar thing where they literally just kept going, like giving me the block and then like bringing the jib up and doing the thing, and it was like a big block of dialogue, and they thought I was like mentally challenged or something. Like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah,
like it's just read the thing, and they did it to me the whole first. It was like that show Numbnuts, and I'd never hosted anything.
Yeah,
I came right. I've probably only been reading probably for like 5 years of my life, like total, and they were giving me all this crap. I was a late learner for reading, and it was the most embarrassing feeling. And actually, at the rap party, they played my first day as like a goof, like just to show everyone. They like clipped together me botching up the thing, and I was like, oh, that's bullshit. Like my producer, I thought that was a lame ass move. But then every show I've ever been on since, they give me a prompter.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is easy in my opinion. Like the prompter is like, I look like the best host in the world when I'm reading a prompter. But it's like, I was just kind of thinking like, why wouldn't they have just done that for me when we did the first show I ever did? I was like so annoyed about it. I can't believe they put you in that position.
Well, yeah, it was hard. I mean, but again, they probably just thought, oh, he's got this skill set. I didn't have that skill set. I was still very fresh from the NFL.
Sure.
I didn't have this skill set. I didn't know.
But that's a hard skill set to have, is remembering like that whole thing. Because they're like, all right, from the top. And you're like, what?
I couldn't get it. I remember hearing in my ear. In fact, at one point, they were trying to feed me the line. Like,
that's the worst.
I was like, and then this will be the next. I can't do this. And then they were like, just F it, go to the runs. I remember it because somebody's mic still was open in the control
Kent
room.
Weed. That's who it was.
I was like, F it, just go to the runs.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting and we're going to the runs, and the whole time I just feel so
You're still remembering that? Yeah.
Oh man, it was so bad. It was like, but football helped me in that I learned that I still, even though I had jacked up, I had to put that bad play and compartmentalize and still be able to do my job. Oh man, I'll never, till this day, I still can't even listen to season 5 was my absolute worst season. I like when I listen to it, because I also try to mimic Matt. And one of my homegirls who I was lifting at the Magic Johnson 24-hour fitness in the Crenshaw area, and she came up to me, she went to high school with me, and she was like, Akbar, you sound, no, I can't tell the difference between you and the other guy. She was saying that I sounded white.
Like Matt. Yeah.
Because they would like overcorrect me, or they would say, and I didn't know. And then I started to feel insecure, like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm speaking too black. I don't say things right. And this had never been the case. In my neighborhood, they always say, yeah, Akbar speaks properly. But there's still always obviously the hood. You can go in and out and just pick and choose when you want to. And I got to voiceovers, and they would say, you can't say that. Because certain things I was like, that's cool. Like, I wouldn't say, that's cool. And they would make me say cool, or like, what's cool. Up? I'm like, no, I don't say it's what's up. I was like, what's up? Like, what's up with that? No, I'm sorry. Can we do that again? It's what's up with that?
Oh, no.
Oh, man. Ask my wife, bro. I went home, legit cried. Not like cried, I legit cried because I felt like I am not good enough. I literally felt like I was not. And then at one point it was mentioned that maybe you have what is it when you dyslexic?
Oh, dyslexia, yeah.
Yeah, because then I would struggle and fumble on the words, and your brain is trying to wrap around. Like, I don't say it like this, but you're doing. It was a lot of yeah. Oh my goodness, it was tough.
I love that transition though, and it's funny because there is so many people listening to you and judging it, and they're all in this truck, and they're like, no, not like that. Everyone has their own opinion, so it's just like the chaos of this business.
Right.
I love that you liked basketball. I saw you at a Lakers game and introduced you. I've known Jeannie forever, and I introduced you to Jeannie.
Yes, you introduced me to Jeannie. That was cool. Thank you.
So that's where the Lakers thing started, right? It's because where you went to high school, or just your whole life?
No, my whole life. I used to sneak in. In fact, Jeannie would probably. I've been confessing a lot here. Can I confess something else?
But you were like a kid.
Yeah. I was the master of getting into the forum. I'd been to so many Lakers games. It's not even funny.
Nice.
Yeah. The big ones, no. You stay away from them. But when they were playing the Clippers, or when they were playing the Golden State Warriors, when they were trash, I could slide into that game and nobody would ever know. And I remember, and I just kind of, wait till everybody's seated and try to pick my seat and where I was going to sit, because it was never like jam packed, but there were always seats, and you figure out. I only had one game where I actually had a ticket for that one, where I saw Magic Johnson come back, where I actually had good seats. Those were my very first good seats after the whole HIV thing. But yeah, my love came from as a kid watching. My dad loved Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I grew up watching them. I mean, my eyes were glued to the TV when they came. I still remember them watching on Channel 9. Hi, this is Urban Magic Johnson with the Los Angeles Lakers, and you're watching Lakers on KCAL 9.
Jerry's boy, man. I love Magic. I like Magic because he's always smiling. That's what I like about him. He just seemed like basketball was fun.
I remember who was the entertainer? I'm not the host, or the broadcaster, the sportscaster that said, was talking about his smile. He's like, this young man has a smile that lights up a city from here to Bangor, Maine. I was like, I remember as a kid, I'm like, Bangor, Maine? Where the hell is that?
Well, I just remember watching Gary Payton's and Allen Iverson's and those guys. Of course, they're great and we love them and they're our favorites or whatever, but they seem cool. They seemed like tough. Whereas Magic looked like he was literally having fun out there.
All the time. And I think that's what it was, just contagious. He was magnetic. It was contagious. And you would see him high-fiving and slapping around, and you wanted to be like Magic. I mean, I wanted to be like Magic. I even would play the game like that. He'd come down in this smooth way and dish off of me. Yeah.
They don't even high five like Magic did back in the day.
No.
Like, he
Now
would
it's
like
just too cool.
slam their head.
Now it's just like this or a little fist bump.
Yeah.
Hey, that's cool, man.
Or they do the backhand. You ever seen that? Or they give each other the five like this.
Oh, is that
It's a weird. And I'm like, why
Everybody's
is that?
trying too hard
That's
to be
not
cool
fun.
now.
What? Wait. So tell us about the book. Everyone Can Be a Ninja.
Well, I kind of just told you a little bit of some of the stories in there, but
So stories from the show.
no, well, the stuff that I've gone through, but Everyone Can Be a Ninja is a book that was inspired by me being on the show. American Ninja Warrior is all about overcoming obstacles, those physical obstacles. And for a long time, I'd always been private and kind of just guarded because some of the stuff we had talked about, just the fear of public, being ridiculed or just being vulnerable and having people come in to attack you. So you try to kind of take this image and kind of protect it. But I saw the vulnerability of some of these athletes, like they share their story, the things that they're going through. Some of them are going through like very troubling personal experiences and then still going out there and competing in front of thousands and millions watching at home. And for 7 years watching this, it was a classroom for me. I got to learn a lot about these athletes. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a book about overcoming personal obstacles. So I talk about overcoming the very first day on American Ninja Warrior, about, what it was like to kind of, work my ranks up into the NFL and in my personal life, having a mother who's an alcoholic and what that meant to me, but then also supplemented other people that were important to me, like Allison Felix, who's the most decorated female Olympic athlete, and former teammate Nnamdi Asomugha, and my father and his travel to get here to this country.
Sure.
And I try to put all of those in there and give lessons about what it's like to overcome obstacles, because I think everyone's life is there's a classroom, there's a learning lesson rather in everyone's life. And I wanted to use my life, some of the ninjas' life, my friends, former teammates, and my father's life to be able to tell and give a story about how to overcome obstacles.
I love that.
So and what I found is that beyond having the grit and the sheer desire to want to overcome, it's also being able to reach out and ask someone for help. And I looked at every point in my life that I had an obstacle. There was a mentor attached to me that allowed me to get to the next level.
Sure.
And for a lot of people, pride can get in the way of asking for help. And if I didn't ask for help, I would never get into the position where I am today for hosting American Ninja Warrior. If I never asked for help, I never developed my skills to be a better football player. And I think that's the stuff that most people probably need more so than anything, is a mentor in their life. Because nobody does life by themselves.
I love that. And I love that every single part of your life, like if you talk to like young Akbar, you would have wanted to just be a basketball player. I'd grow up, I'd be a basketball player, I'd be rich, I'll find some beautiful woman, I'll have some kids. That's the ideal life, Laker Akbar. But realistically, what life gave you, you were always going out of your comfort zone. Like, football wasn't in your comfort zone.
No, not at all.
Broadcasting, auditioning is not in your comfort zone. The freaking learning new positions. It was always something challenging you to get you out of it. They'll just take it full circle. Like, a safe space doesn't help anyone become great.
No, because you don't have those exterior pressures to push you. You just said something that just made me think, wow, I hadn't thought about it that way, but putting myself in these uncomfortable situations, getting the job at the NFL Network as the NFL analyst. I'm going to tell you something though. 99% of football players in the NFL, they don't really get fantasy football.
Right.
I was one of them. Not only that, I'll take it a step further. I knew the teams that was in the AFC West, the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Raiders, right? Outside of that, I didn't know the divisions. I didn't know who's where. I mean, I knew the teams, but I didn't know the head coaches. Unless if I played against that team, I didn't know anything about that team.
Interesting.
And most players like that. You just kind of stick what's in front of you. They're literally, when you hear them say, oh, I'm just taking a week at a time. That's what they're doing. Are literally taking a week at a time. I'm not trying to think who's in the AFC North and the NFC East, and I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
So when I knew I was going to get this audition, for 3 weeks, I buried myself at my football agent's office, and we went through everything from who are the coaches, who are the number one players on each team. I had to go quiz myself, push myself, just to be able to do this. Meanwhile, I was hiding all of this from my wife because she thought, like, at this point, like, we were taking a hit going down this path for a career. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go to the office and I'm going to work on some things. But meanwhile, I'm learning how to do all of this stuff. And I got the audition. This was going up against guys who were big name guys. There were 5 guys who all had way better NFL careers. And I'm not saying that, you know, like, oh, I was so much better than them, but I think it was my commitment to being able to ask for help. If I didn't ask for help and say, I'm just going to wing it. Hey, I'm the former NFL guy. I should be able to go in there. I was the only defensive player in that whole group of auditioning guys. And what that taught me was that if I didn't ask for help, I wouldn't have been able to go out there. But if I also didn't put myself in a position where I was uncomfortable, like, can you imagine you're an NFL guy and you don't know who the head coach of the Cincinnati? Nope, I don't know who the head coach of the Cincinnati. No, you know, at the time I didn't know. You know.
Yeah, but you did the work.
Right.
You were the most prepared guy, and that's really what it is.
You have to remove pride. You have to remove pride out.
That happened to a certain football player at Fox. He came and he thought that right when he came in, they were just going to put him on the thing with Terry Bradshaw and Michael Strahan. Like, he just thought, like, oh, I had a great football career. And they had to tell him, like, no, that's not really how this. I'm not going to say his name. I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
And then he literally, like, quit. He quit at Fox because they just wouldn't. And I was like a kind of whispers, you know, because I'm always at Fox with Terry and all them. And like, you'll hear him still kind of talk about it. Like, what did he think he was going to do? Like, just come, those guys have been together for like ages. Like, it's kind of like a fraternity a little bit on that, out on that desk.
Well, I think we and sometimes, and I can only imagine that this person's a younger person, meaning younger than I am, at least I'm thinking that. But I think we are living, all of us, regardless of the era, we're living in this time where instant gratification is just poisoning work ethic.
Sure.
Where it's like, well, what about just starting here and then working your way up? But when you see everyone curating this perfect life and this already made it life, it's very easy to think like, I got to skip hard work. I have to train my kids this way now because they want it. Like, even like, hey, I don't care that your coach is kind of being hard on you or talking rough to you and saying, you got to work on this. Like, you have to work. You can't
Bear
just,
it. Yeah,
like, or my
that's how
kids are
you're
like,
gonna-
I'm great at that. Like, no, you can be great. I'm not trying to be the negative, you know, dad, but I'm saying you can be great at this and you should claim that you're going to be great. But you said, I'm going to be great, not that I am great. Because once you say you're great, there's no room for improvement. And everybody wants to be rich and famous and this and like, but nobody wants to work. Like, how does that happen?
When it's fun is because they, you know, I hate that saying. It says, work smart, not hard.
Right.
That should be work smart, work smarter, and hard.
Right.
like don't negate the hard work.
Right.
So like that also should be a thing. So it's like you can't sit around and think, how could I do this? Like, how could I do this smarter? It's like sometimes just the hard work is gonna get that done. Like it's you know, it's fascinating. I love you, man. I'm so happy you came on this show.
I appreciate you having me on, man.
Absolutely. So February 22nd on Universal Kids, American Ninja Warrior Junior Season 2.
Yeah, we're excited about that. It's the second season. We've got a bunch of kids. American Ninja Warrior has turned into this cultural thing.
Yeah.
Now we've spun off with our kids show. You can see it on Universal Kids, February 22nd. And this year, the kids, they get bigger and better.
Oh, really? Are they like fit CrossFit kids, or do you see some like average kids on there?
They're superhumans. They're human Avengers, like baby Avengers. That's what they are.
Oh,
and
that's
they're from 9 to 14 years old. So we've got the 9 to 10 division, the 11 to 12, and 13 to 14 division. And
you know why that is?
It's like more exciting than the big show.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know, that's what I find fascinating is that like these kids exist because your show has done so. American Ninja Warrior has been so successful that kids love watching it with their parents, and they want to do it, but you've got to be what, 18
well, 19. We moved it to 19 years old.
Moved it to 19.
Yeah, we moved it. It used to be that you had to be 21, but we moved it down to 19 years old. Made it a little younger because there's so many kids out there that has a rush. Like I gotta get it. I gotta get it.
So many kids' favorite shows. Like, I can't tell you how many times I did like a modified run for like a Red Nose Days, which was like the celebrity raised money for Red Nose Days. But more people have seen that because they're like, oh, my kids love Ninja Warrior. I showed them. They'll say like, oh, Dad, can I go to the comedy club with you tonight? Like that one guy. He's like, he's not a Ninja Warrior. He's a stand-up comedian. He did that thing, but they're so starstruck that I was on Ninja Warrior.
You ran on the first year that we did. Yeah. The first year. I ran the second year.
Oh, nice.
And I was nervous. Were you nervous?
Oh, super nervous. But here's the thing. I this kind of like a behind the curtain kind of thing. In real Ninja Warrior, you're not ever allowed to run the course.
That's right.
You can build one in your yard. You can go to these gyms that kind of have like obstacles. Well, they said like, well, we don't want all these like celebrities to like just immediately fall in the water. That's not a very good show. Right. So they're like, so we're going to open up the course to them the morning of, and they're allowed to run it as many times as they want. want. And I just ran it over and over, never once passing some of the obstacles that I passed on the final run.
Oh,
so I
wow.
couldn't get up the wall, and I'm literally bleeding. My shins are all banged up. I'm bruised. And then I didn't make it. I fell like 3 times, and I had to change each time because you get wet.
Yeah, you're wet. Yeah.
And so I brought just heaps of clothes, and the one where the squares spin around on the bar and try to make it across before they rotate you into the one. I fell on that like 3 times, never successfully did it. On the one where you hold the ball and you go down that track,
cannonball.
When it went down the first thing, it hit my chin, punched my chin, and I fell off into the water, and then I had like a little knot.
So do you have veneers now?
No, but I'll tell you that I kept going like this. If you watch my actual run that was televised, I'm going like this a lot. And it's because I got like a little sore inside my mouth from the thing. But anyways, by doing each one of those so many different times, and everyone thought I was crazy. Like they were like, dude, this idiot just keeps going back to his trailer and changing and coming back out and doing it again. And they were giving me credit, like, hey, this guy's fearless. He keeps getting hurt and he keeps whatever, but he's also stupid because he's going to get all tuckered out. He's going to be fatigued. He's going to be whatever. But then when I actually did the run, I was not nervous.
Right.
Because I was like, dude, I did this all morning. The only nervousness was that I would, get hurt or like not be able to do it. But I think that adding all the runs I did in the morning, like the work, mixed with adrenaline helped so much.
I was nervous, bro.
I got up that wall on the first try.
But that's easy because you're what, 6'3", 6'2"?
Yeah, I'm 6'4", so that is easy.
You see how he corrected me though?
Like
tall people hate when you take an inch away.
I need that inch.
Yeah, me too.
But here's the thing: is that the adrenaline made me get it on the first try.
Yeah,
because I tried it a bunch, I couldn't do it.
It was hard. I didn't try. So as far as before, because I was doing all this other stuff, media and blah blah blah. So I didn't get a chance to do it. But I just remember feeling the weight of if I fall, I lose credibility. That's all that was in the back of my head.
Pressure. They didn't expect anything from a comedian.
The insecurity is I'm a football player. I'm not a ninja warrior. And I'd been training for 3 months with Kevin Bull, but I'm like, I'm 260 pounds. I lost 13 pounds doing it. So I got down to 247 and I trained every day for I got up super early.
There's the work. Yeah.
But I was never in all the training for 3 months. I was never able to consecutively do. I never had the endurance to consecutively do. So adrenaline did help in that regards, but I was nervous. It was so bad. Like my chest was so tight. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had never even been this nervous for a football game before. I'm like, damn, I was having a legit panic attack.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like screaming at I was trying to let it out.
Yeah. You are one of the faces of Ninja Warrior, so they are expecting you to kill it. And then you look like a physical. I'm like a skinny stand-up comedian. Like I could have finished on the first one and they'd be like, he's a crack up. Like they wouldn't have cared. So like that was also like another reason I didn't, not too much pressure.
This has been a fun ride. This has been a fun time here though too. So I appreciate you having me out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. And like I said, if you want to plug anything ever, come on back. We'd love to have you.
All right.
Let's go to those Lakers games.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Friendship.
I told you you'd love that episode. Hey, big shout out to Akbar. Thanks for being on here, man. I hope we have him back. If you guys have things that you wanted me to ask him that I didn't, send those. We'll have him back on again sometime, and he'll answer those. Thank you for subscribing. Don't forget to rate, review, click below. We appreciate you guys. We see all the comments. We hear all the messages. If you are a Patreon subscriber, we love you. Thank you so much. If you aren't, consider it. We'll see you guys next week.